So at the beginning of the season, I made a video talking about my favorite no recoil, in quotation mark, weapon builds in Delta Force. So just presenting some of my favorite builds that fill that specific playstyle of like no recoil weapons. And I thought I would make another video talking about my favorite Hipfire builds that I've made since starting to play Delta Force. So we're going to go through all of my favorite Hipfire builds in Delta Force and then briefly talk about, you know, the advantages of playing Hipfire only builds. Well, not only, all of these weapons that I've built can still be used by ADSing and at pretty decent ranges, which is why I wanted to share them with all of you. So starting off with the K437, we're going to go with the Broken Blade Short Barrel to get more accuracy, and then for the foregrip I went with the Whisper Tactical Suppressor, which gives you a little bit more range at the slight cost of handling and stability, but extra control, which is very nice. For the foregrip, we're going to go with the Mini Hand Stop, which gives us +8 accuracy and a little bit of extra handling, so really bumping up that handling, because arguably when you are playing in those CQB engagements, you want to be the first one to be able to fire after you stop sprinting. So go ahead and install that. For the magazine, I went with the 60 round drum mag for this one because, yeah, playing close quarters, you're probably going to run into a lot of enemies, so having that really massive magazine is very nice. For the rear grip, we're going to go with the AR Heavy Tower Grip. It's pretty much the only grip that gives you extra accuracy, which is why I chose to go with this. And then we're going to go with the Balance Grip Base that gives you even more accuracy and positives across the board for the rest of the stats. For the stock, we're going to go with the Lightning Rail Stock to get +12 handling, which is just massive. It's going to cost some stability, but you know what? Mostly playing in CQB engagement, stability not too big of an issue here. For the optic, we're going to go with a multi-purpose tactical riser because you can put patches across all the other rail slots on here. We're going to go with an XRO, and then we're going to put a laser of our choice here. So this one I just put the Purse Blue one because it fits the overall aesthetic of the weapon with the orange and the blue. Nice contrast. And then for the rest of these, we're going to put 3x Hornet handguard panels to bump up the accuracy even more by +4 for each panel slot. So moving on to the calibration, starting off with the barrel, we're going to go with +50 grams to get extra firing stability for the rare cases in which you do need to fire continuously at a little bit longer ranges. Then we're going to go with -10 millimeters to get more ADS speed. For the foregrip, we're going to go with +2 slots to get extra control and +20 millimeters to get extra stability when moving. So the extra control, even though you're not ADSing, you're still experiencing the overall recoil of the weapon when you're firing it from the hip or point firing. So mitigating some of that will make your shots land more often than not because there's going to be less recoil. For the rear grip, we're going to go with +50 grams and -20 millimeters to get extra hipfire aim speed, albeit hipfire aim speed I believe is bugged right now. It just increases the overall ADS speed. And then +6% control. For the Lightning Rail Stock, +50 grams and +50 millimeters, more firing stability and more control for the rare instances in which you do need to fire while ADSing and at longer ranges. Eye relief, -20 millimeters. Moving on to the SG552, so we're going to go with the only barrel option here, which is the Night Heavy Barrel. You get +5 control and +2 meters in range, plus you get a bunch of new slots, so it's a given for that specific attachment. We're going to go then with the Titanium Muzzle Brake, which is Contest Muzzle Brake, which gives you +9 control, so again mitigating that recoil that you're still going to experience while hip firing, and this weapon is still really good at range even though we're building it as a hipfire build. Then for the foregrip, we're going to go with the Competition Hand Stop, giving us +12 accuracy, +5 handling at the slight cost of control. For the magazine, we're going to go with the biggest magazine we have here, so the 45 round extended. Then we're going to put the Mag Assist on here because there's literally no downsides. For the rear grip, again, we're going to go with the AR Heavy Tower Grip because it's the only one that gives you accuracy, and then the balanced grip base. For the stock, we're going to go with no stock, so the SG552 bolt cover, giving us a massive boost in accuracy, massive boost in handling at not too bad penalties for both accuracy and stability. Then we're going to go with the multi-purpose again because you can put patches for the rest of the stuff on this weapon. Going to go with the XRO, and then whatever one you want here. I just put the Purse Blue on here, and then all these slots we're going to put Hornet handguard panels to get more accuracy. You're going to see the accuracy on this thing is just through the roof. And I actually made a mistake. It's not the balance grip base that I want to go for. It's the stable grip base because the accuracy is so high already. Getting some of that stability back felt a lot better to fire the SG552 as opposed to the extra accuracy and extra handling. For the calibration, starting off with the barrel, +50 grams, -10 millimeters, extra ADS speed, extra firing stability. For the foregrip, we're going to go with +20, +20, extra stability when moving, extra control. Rear grip, we're going to go with +50 grams and +20 millimeters, so extra stability when moving and extra control, which is great. For the stock, we're going to go with +50 grams and +50 millimeters, extra control, extra firing stability. As I said earlier, this weapon is mostly built for hipfire, but it still performs very well even when you're ADSing. And then finally, the optic, negative 20mm in eye relief. So moving on to support weapons, starting off with the SR3M, we're going to go with the SR3M cast steel tactical barrel. It's the only option you have. Then we're going to go with the SMG echo suppressor, which increases the range even further at cost to all the other stats except control, but we'll make up for that. For the foregrip, I chose to go with the X25U angled combat grip, which gives you extra accuracy and extra control, so making this weapon even good to fire when you have to ADS at those longer ranges. For the mag, we're going to go with the 45 round mag, which is the biggest one you can get, and then the mag assist. For the rear grip, again, we're going to go with the AK heavy tower grip and the balanced grip base because that's the only one that gives you plus accuracy. For the stock, we're going to go with SR3M bolt cover, so again, massive bonus for both accuracy and handling. For the charging handle, just equip one, there's no downsides. Then we're going to go with the optic. We're going to put a multi-purpose riser on here again because you can put panels across all the other slots on here. Then we're going to put the XRO and then a laser of your choice. I believe I put the red on here, but it doesn't really matter. Then all these 5 slots here, we're going to slap some KC Hound handguard panels on here to get even more stability, because I found in those rare situations where I did need to engage people at longer ranges, I was just getting too much aim punch if people were actually hitting me. So just put those on there, giving you extra stability. For the calibration, starting off with the barrel, plus 50 grams and negative 10 millimeters. For the foregrip, we're going to go with plus 20 millimeters to get more stability when moving, because you do move quite a bit. For the rear grip, we're going to go with plus 50 grams and plus 20 millimeters, more control, more stability when moving. The stock, plus 50 grams, negative 50 millimeters, more hipfire aim speed, more control. And then the optic, as per usual, negative 20 millimeters. Moving on to the MP5, so this is technically the fastest TTK SMG in the game, which is why having it as a hipfire build is really powerful. So for the barrel, I went with the MP5 tactical barrel combo. Gives you a little bit of extra range, some control, some stability at the cost of accuracy and handling, but we'll make up for that. Then we're going to put a muzzle device on here, which will be the Whisper Tactical Suppressor, which gives you extra range. For the foregrip, I chose to go with the Competition Hand Stop to get plus 12 accuracy at the slight cost of control, but you also get a bump in handling. For the mag, 50 round drum mag, again, you want as many bullets as you can when you're fighting in CQB engagements. You can't unfortunately change the rear grip on this one, which is kind of a downside. And then for the stock, we're going to go with the MP5 bolt cover, which gives you, again, massive bonus for both accuracy and handling. For the sight, we're going to go again for the optic, multi-purpose, red dot, and laser combo, because you can put patches on the rest of the rail slot attachments here. So we're going to put that on there, laser of your choice, you know, whatever, red for this one. And then for both of these, we're going to put Hornet handguard panels to get that accuracy up again. So bringing it to a total of 80. For the calibration, barrel, plus 50, negative 10. For the foregrip, plus 20, plus 20. For the stock, plus 50, negative 50. And then finally, for the riser optic, we're going to go with negative 20 millimeters in eye relief. So moving on to some options for the engineer, starting off with the QJB201 light machine gun. This thing fires super fast and does decent damage, so it makes a very good CQB weapon. For the barrel, we're going to go with the new type Fang short barrel, which gives you, plus accuracy, plus handling, plus control, and extra slots. For the muzzle device, I went with the titanium contest muzzle brake to really mitigate that overall recoil that you're feeling. For the gas block, so this weapon is pretty specific. You can change the gas block to increase the fire rate or decrease it, but then it's more stable to shoot. But we're going to go for the rapid gas block in this situation. For the foregrip, we're going to put the ZFSG tactical grip, plus 12 accuracy, plus 1 control. Very good grip. For the mag, we're going to leave it as is, as this is the 125 round belt mag. For the rear grip, we're going to go with the Vanguard light grip, which increases your handling and control. For the stock, we're going to go with the Shadow buffer tube stock, which increases the handling by 10. Slightly decreases the stability, but also increases the control. For the optic, we're just going to go with the XRO here. You can't put a riser on here. That allows you to equip a laser. And then for all these patches, we're going to put 6x Hornet handguard panels to really bring that overall accuracy up and making this thing just incredibly good to shoot, even from the hip. For the calibration, barrel, plus 50, negative 10. For the foregrip, plus 20, plus 20. For the rear grip, we're going to go with plus 50 grams, plus 20 millimeters. And then finally, for the stock, we're going to go with plus 50 grams, plus 3 slots. And the optic, negative 20 millimeters in eye relief. And then last, but certainly not least, something that you might not expect, a Hipfire Ash 12 build. So this weapon just does a massive amount of damage at 34 damage per shot with super high headshot damage as well. So when you're using this weapon in CQB engagements, yeah, you're just going to be absolutely demolishing people. Starting off with the barrel here, we're going to go with the CQB short barrel. So it says in the name CQB close quarter battles. So go ahead and install that. Then for the muzzle device, you don't have many choices here. So I went with the Titan compensator to get really a lot more control, because this weapon obviously does have a lot of recoil considering the size of round that it shoots. For the foregrip, we're going to go with the ZFSG tactical grip, increasing the accuracy by 12 and increasing the control by 1. For the mag, we're just going to slap on the 30 round here. You don't have really any other choice. For the stock, you have two options here, the sniper stock or the skeleton stock. Went for the skeleton stock to get extra handling and a little bit of extra control. For the optic, simply put the multi-purpose on here because you can, and then put the optic of your choice. In our case, it's the XRO, and then I believe I put maybe the purple one on here because it fit the overall aesthetic of the weapon. And then for all of these, we're going to put 3x Hornet handguard panels to get some of that accuracy bumped up, bringing the total accuracy of the Ash 12 to 75. For the calibration, barrel plus 50, negative 10. Then for the foregrip, plus 20, plus 20. For the stock, we're going to go with plus 50 grams and plus 50 millimeters. And then finally, for the optic, negative 20 millimeters in eye relief. So those are all my hipfire-centric builds that I've really enjoyed in Delta Force. Now, some of them you wouldn't really think to make like a hipfire build for them, just because they're odd, like the LMGs or even some of the ARs or the Ash 12. It's not the type of weapon that you would think would make a good hipfire build, but yeah, a lot of fun to use. And it's really for those CQB maps or CQB situations in which you're pushing aggressively and you want to be faster to fire than your enemies because you're saving that ADS time. Now, arguably, all the weapons in Delta Force could probably be made to be like hipfire builds, but some of them just don't work all that great because you're not doing enough damage in a short enough period of time to be able to compete with some of the other weapons if people are shooting at longer ranges or whatever. So you really want to take the weapons that have really high TTK and make those into CQB weapons. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the weapons have really high TTK, and I didn't make hipfire builds because I just felt like certain weapons, even though they make really good hipfire builds, I just wasn't feeling them all that much, which is why I went for these 6 specific weapon builds. And I just like hipfire play in Delta Force, you know, being able to push really fast and then, you know, ready your weapon from sprint to hipfire ready in like a split second makes incredibly fun gameplay, and you are always pushing enemies and closing the gap. Just overall a lot of... Now, I chose to not include any shotgun builds on here because overall I don't use shotguns all that much in Delta Force. I'd rather have something that can be used at different ranges rather than something that can only be very effective in a very specific set of circumstances, or you have to always constantly close the distance on your enemies. So the weapon share codes for all 6 of these builds will be in the description down below, as well as in the top pinned comment. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've had any weapon builds that, you know, don't really fit the weapon as a whole but perform very well. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.